Hey everybody, it is Johanna. I am here. It is Sunday, the 29th of May. So happy Memorial Day weekend for everybody in the US. And I hope you are all having a lovely afternoon. Let me fix this again. That's fine. All right. So it is Memorial Day weekend here in the USA. This is the weekly forecast for Orbital Astrology. I am the astrologer at Resonant Essentials in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I'm here to talk to you about the week's planetary movements and what's coming up for all of us to just sort of deal with and prepare and absorb and get the information from the planets basically, because every week we get a little bit more information as to what to expect. So um, if you are here live, say hi. Let me just make sure people are seeing this. I know it's a holiday weekend, so I know a lot of people are out camping and doing fun stuff, so just be safe. Um, Today is a kind of a big alignment. Well, last week we talked about Mars going into Aries, and I talked about things being a little worrisome. I was hoping that things wouldn't come out on the more violent side or just disturbing side or angry side. And of course, we had a school shooting here in the U.S. So um, yeah, sometimes astrology is really literal and um, it's hard to deal with sometimes, right? A lot of times in metaphysics, other people are like, "What can I do about the planets?" If I say something negative, like, "Oh, this is what's happening." I can't change the planetary movements. Nobody can. So when these alignments happen, the best we can do is just be ready for them and try to understand that there's some bigger picture here and not just meaningless. So that's kind of the theme of today's talk or this week's forecast, because today we have the alignment with Mars and Jupiter, which both have moved into Aries. Jupiter moved into Aries a few weeks ago. Mars just moved into Aries, but Mars moves so much quicker than Jupiter that it caught up to where Jupiter was, or where Jupiter is within just a few days. So Jupiter and Mars are at the exact same degree of Aries, which is 3 degrees. 3 degrees of Aries. And that is happening all day today. So this actually moved into alignment this morning, very early, around 4:30 in the morning. Um, I personally was up with a 3-year-old at 4:30 in the morning dealing with that. So the energies were very, very loud in our house. But people are were worried about this, right? Because Mars has already shown itself to be very aggressive in Aries. Um, and the idea of Aries energy is me, 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 me. What do I want? I need to go do something. I feel like I have to, just pushed towards some sort of action in some way. And so, we saw that happen last week in a very negative way, but we were worried looking forward to see this conjunction, which is when two planets are at the same degree of the zodiac and their energies kind of combined in some way. So we were looking at this. We talked about this in the astrology group. So if you're in Albuquerque, we do meet every third Saturday of the month. And if you're interested in astrology, you can come and talk about the planets and the transits. So we talked about what's going to happen when Mars and Jupiter come together. Is it going to be positive or negative? Because Jupiter is one of the most benefic planets or most positive planets, and it actually helps us get what we want. It actually brings gifts. It's a generosity planet. Also, I consider to be the planet of good luck and the planet of sort of life pursuits. What do you love about your life and what gives your life meaning? So that really is what Jupiter represents in astrology. It's also, like I said, the planet of judges and justice. So some people find meaning in their life by dedicating themselves to nonprofits or political causes or fighting injustice. That's a very Jupiter sort of idea. So when Mars is coming into contact with that Jupiter energy, where we're wondering, is Mars going to be enhancing Jupiter's aspects, or is Jupiter going to be enhancing Mars's aspects? So which way is it going to go? Now, we've already had the majority of the day to look and see what's been going on for Jupiter and Mars conjunction. And so, what I've noticed today is I feel like it's much more of a positive expression where Mars is actually giving energy to Jupiter. Mars is motivating Jupiter. Mars is pushing Jupiter. Mars is like lighting the fire of inspiration, or lighting the fire of motivation, lighting the fire of drive or passion under Jupiter. So, whatever gives your life meaning, whatever pursuit you have to make your life meaningful in some aspect, Mars is going to be sort of turning up the volume on that. And since this is Aries energy, this is very selfish energy. So, I've noticed that everybody is very hell bent on pursuing their own desires, their own meaning, their own what I want type energy. So, this can be shown as negative for the people who, are dealing with the other person selfishly pursuing their own desires without consideration of other people. But on the flip side, are you doing that for yourself? So that's the thing. We're talking about a lot of Aries, me, self-sufficiency, self-directedness, I have to do what I want because what is life without me getting what I need to do to make myself to make things meaningful and for my life to have purpose. Because that's really a very it's all on you to do that. You really do have you take responsibility for your own life and the meaning that you give to your life. So that's kind of the energy of what's happening today, which I think it could be, manifested in a much more negative way, which is, Jupiter causing bigger and expansiveness to more violence and more pain and more suffering, which Mars rules as well. So hopefully it's not manifesting like that for you in your life, and it's a push towards doing something deeper to create meaning in your own life. So that's where I'm seeing it show up. I looked up the Sabian symbol for Aries. Well, technically it's 4 degrees Aries because it's a little bit further into the degree of third degree of Aries. So, what are the Sabian symbols? The Sabian symbols were created by a psychic and astrologer who worked together to go through all 360 degrees of the zodiac. And the psychic sat down and basically channeled or talked about what was coming to her as far as imagery for that one specific degree of the sign. So 4 degrees Aries, the symbol that she saw were 2 lovers strolling along a secluded walk. So that's positive, right? It's also selfish, right? Because these 2 lovers are hiding. They want to be alone. They want to keep the good things to themselves. So that's kind of, I see the Aries aspect coming into it. I mean, how selfish are you going to be with your heart's desire, with your life purpose, with the things that really give you meaning? You have to protect that, right? Oh no, my volume is cutting out. No. If you can't hear me, please let me know. I don't have can you guys hear me now? I don't know. It's Mercury retrograde still, so yeah, let me know if you can't hear me. If you can hear me a little bit better now, then let me know. Still can't hear you. Oh no. Well, let me see if I can check my volume. Oh, that's not it. Oh, and you're the only one here, so I can't ask anyone else if it's not if it's you or me or who. Um, let me. Yeah, I don't know what to do once it's live. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Jen, if you can't hear me. If someone if you can't, if no one else can hear me, let me grab my earbuds real quick. I'll be right back. Oh, okay, you can hear me now. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I was gonna get my earbuds. So as long as you guys can hear me, then we'll keep going. So please let me know if you can't, and I will continue. Okay. So what was I saying? Right. Today's conjunction with Jupiter and Mars is creating a little bit of. Okay. Yes, I know. I'm in the East Mountains too, so sometimes we have bad connections. So no worries. So yeah, what are we talking about? We are talking about Jupiter-Mars conjunction, and that showing up as a positive version of maybe being more driven towards selfishly deciding what you would like to do with your life and finding meaning in your life. So that really is kind of the main topic for this week, because a lot of people are coming to me and asking, after what happened this week with the school shooting. I mean, it's become so commonplace in our country that it's not surprising anymore. It's still disturbing, of course, every time it happens, but a lot of people are getting to this place where they are feeling like they're losing hope, right? A lot of people are asking me, how do you keep your spirits up during times like these, and where violence and pain and suffering and injustice and um, death and everything keeps happening? How do you find your way through that? How do you get up every day? How do you function, right? So, um, and this really comes back to this idea of Jupiter, which is in astrology that deeper sense of meaning. If you've read Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning, he talks about finding meaning after being imprisoned in a Nazi concentration camp. So if you think about facing the ultimate worst side of humanity, where people are suffering, dying, being exterminated, basically, and still be able to get up every day and still find some sort of meaning in life, um, that's the goal, right? Because if once you don't have that sense of meaning anymore, that's the danger of hopelessness. That's the danger of finds this in different ways, but you can't. He writes in his book, um, you can't pursue happiness, right? We talk about, oh, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I mean, that's a very American saying, right? However, the idea of pursuing happiness, it cannot be pursued. It has to be ensued. It comes after the effect. It's an effect of finding meaning and deeper love and associations and purpose in your life. It's a side effect of that. The more we try to be happy, it's like the more elusive it gets. So how do we do this? We have to find something that gives our life meaning, right? That's what is the purpose? Why do we get up in the morning? And for some of us, especially astrologers, that's what astrology helps us do. It helps us find that specific meaning in our lives that creates a bigger picture, that creates more structure, that creates it gives us answers, right? That's why people come to astrologers. They want answers as to why things are happening. Why do bad things keep happening to me? Why do they keep happening in the world? How do I go on? So that's Jupiter. And that's where you're going to find that. So wherever you have Jupiter in your chart, you're going to find what drives you towards finding that meaning, what drives you towards finding that sense of purpose. And some people do it, through religion, or they find purpose in their children, or they find purpose in their families, they find purpose in helping others or dedicating themselves in some way to create meaning. And it's your life, right? You get to decide that, and it is the opportunity to find that that trend. And when, because life is so changeable, right? Life is so transitional, so it's your opportunity within that transitional aspect of life to take responsibility for your actions and create meaning from that. And if somebody can do that in a Nazi concentration camp, then it's definitely possible for all of us to do that. um Obviously easier said than done, correct? Right. So I guess that transitions into, we are in Gemini season. Mercury is still retrograde. Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. We are also having a Gemini new moon this week. So Mercury is kind of like at that forefront. Mercury and Aries themes are very present right now. But the thing about Gemini, with Mercury being its ruler, it's a very transitional sign. It's a mutable sign. So it's in between the ending of one season and the start of another season. So once we get into Cancer season, that's the beginning of summer, and we start a whole new 3 month cycle. But every single mutable sign is at the end of that 3 month season. So we are finishing up with spring right now and moving into summer. And the thing about living in that transitional time is it feels unsteady. It feels like you're in between, right? There's no solid foundation the way there is during the fixed seasons of Taurus and Leo and Aquarius and Scorpio. When you're in the Gemini and Pisces and Virgo and Sagittarius, right? The other mutable sign. Sagittarius seasons, that is a very sort of unsteady time. It's the most, I don't know, I don't want to call these, if you're a Sag or a Gemini, I mean, I'm a Pisces, so I guess I can say unstable or changeable, right? We're always in the middle of changing things. So we're in that transitional period between spring and summer. And so when everything is in flux, it feels a little bit anxious. And that's why I think Gemini, Virgo being ruled by Mercury are associated with a little bit of anxiety because of that sort of unstable aspect of being an immutable sign. Also with Mercury being associated with like mind and details and figuring things out and just being busy all the time. That's a very Mercury type aspect. So we do have this idea of being in transition. We have a lot of air energy going on with Gemini, with the sun and the moon being there. We have a lot of fire energy going on with Aries. So that sort of like hot dryness that's happening. I mean, if you live in New Mexico, you're seeing that. You're feeling how hot it is. You're seeing smoke in the air. You're feeling like the very, very low humidity that's happening. And it just feels so hot and dry right now that you can see that represented in the astrology. So with Aries and Gemini coming up, we just feel like there's a lot of hot air going on in more than ways than one, I guess. A lot of people yelling, a lot of, and besides the obvious weather. So one thing we talk about is a cazimi aspect, which is being in the exact same degree of the sun. So that technically is what a new moon is. So the new moon happens tomorrow, which is the 30th. So Monday the 30th, we're going to have a new moon at 9 degrees Gemini, and we will have a cazimi. So that means that the moon will be enhanced by the sun's energy. And it will sort of be this pivotal moment or this highlighting moment in Gemini season where we're going to start feeling that energy show up in the next 28 days. So I know we're kind of in this weird like in between period where the moon and the sun, the months don't line up. The lunar month and the solar month are totally out of whack right now. We're having a new moon at the very end of the month, which is like, what? We want to think about the moon and the sun and like the newness of the new month being in sync with both sun and moon, but that's just not how it works. The moon does not want to be in the same cycle as the sun. So we have this alignment, another sort of aspect of Gemini being like in betweenness. So if you're feeling kind of anxious, if you're feeling kind of like, I don't know what the next step is, but I feel a lot of urgency to do something with all of this Aries energy, just take some deep breaths. And remember the heaviness of being in this eclipse portal with Taurus and Scorpio. So that water and air, or that water and earth energy that kind of felt heavy and weighing us down and really like intense feelings in our body. This is the other aspect of that. This is the opposite with the air and the fire. So we want to know we can't have one without the other. We have to have the depth of earth and water, and then the lightness of air and fire, the quickness, the movement. Things are on the move right now. We've shifted into this new season. We've left behind the eclipses. We have the whole summer ahead of us. And so there is that sort of tingling of nervous excitement, right? We're feeling like, what's next? This can also mean a little apprehensiveness. So especially when you see a lot of crazy things happening in the world, you're like, what's next? I don't want to jinx anything. I feel very like just sort of buzzy. Like buzziness is a very Gemini word. So we're going to be talking about a lot more of these issues, a lot more deep dive into what this new moon in Gemini means when we have our new moon circle. So I do run a monthly free online circle. It's going to be on Tuesday because I know a lot of people are out of town for the holiday. So if you're interested in joining and learning more about the new moon, that will be on Tuesday night, and I will leave a link where you can sign up for it. Um, so yeah, I was going to talk about like just the wildness of being a Gemini, or actually being any mutable sign, and just like skydiving into the next thing, right? Without the stability of having your feet on land. I mean, you're really just out there going for it, taking a risk. A fire and air energy is a risky type energy. However, we do need the energy to create motion in our life. If we were all just water and air, or sorry, if we were just water and earth, then we would be stagnant. We wouldn't actually have that spark of inspiration to go do something or create sort of movement and action in our life. So be grateful for this energy, even if it feels a little stressful or unsteady. So Mercury is retrograde still, but guess what? It's coming out of retrograde this week. So mark your calendars for the 3rd, June 3rd, which is Thursday, I think, or Friday. Mercury stations direct. It's gone all the way back into Taurus. So it's going to station direct at 26 degrees Taurus. And now a lot of astrologers are like, no, don't say that everything's going to be fine and hunky-dory after Mercury retrograde, because technically it's still going to be retracing its steps because it had to go backwards, right? Even though it's going forwards now, it's going back all over those steps that it just retraced during the retrograde. So this is considered to be the shadow period after Mercury goes direct, and it will be out of the shadow period around the 14th of June. So for the next few weeks, we're still going to be dealing with the same issues that we retraced over Mercury retrograde. However, we will have some sort of action or solution that we can take finally, versus, sort of all of these things coming, rebubbling up and not knowing what you can do about it. So everything that came up during the Mercury retrograde that you couldn't do anything about, or you didn't know what to do, or you're waiting for more forward motion, now you can start handling all that stuff. Now you can start moving forward with it as of the 3rd of June. So things are going to start speeding up, a little quickening. If you feel like things are already moving really fast, then you've sort of keyed into that Gemini energy that started when the sun moved into Gemini. But now that Mercury is going to go direct, we're really going to start feeling what Gemini means for us, because Mercury, ruling planet of Gemini, is now out of retrograde. It's going to start really moving fast, and then it's going to get to that point where it's zipping through its own sign. Mercury in its own sign is the strongest placement it can be. So it's going to be very, very apparent in the next few weeks as we start like speeding things up. Things are moving, things are going, a lot of stuff's happening, big events are coming up. I mean, that's what summer's all about, right? Everyone's just like goes nuts. It's just summer. So what else is happening this week? I know we're already at 23 minutes. So next Saturday, we have something much different as far as the energy is going, right? So if this is feeling like, I don't want to deal with all of this, like, I need to just calm down. I don't need all this hyper energy, all this Gemini and Aries and fire and air and fast moving and having to take action. If this is feeling overwhelming to you, guess what? There is a caveat. On the 4th, which is next Saturday, Saturn is going to station retrograde. So that's going to be a big deal. That will be a sort of grinding of slowness. So we will have a lot of things start speeding up in this next week. But next Saturday, we'll get that sort of the brakes. We'll get a brake check on Saturday. Like, oh, okay, now I can feel like I need to really buckle down and see what sort of foundation I have to move from all of this craziness, all of this fast moving energy that's coming up for the summer. Saturn's going to sort of put a stop, be like, okay, well, can you handle skydiving if you don't know how to fly the plane, or you don't know, if you don't have your parachute on or something. So make sure you have the safety precautions. Like, you need to have that reality check coming in too. to play next Saturday. So Saturn retrograde, you're probably like, oh God, another retrograde. Well, the outer planets go retrograde for such a long period of time that we're used to really dealing with that energy sort of always present in our lives at some level. So it's going to be in the background. I always talk about the outer planets when they retrograde, or their energies are kind of hovering around us in the background. They're creating this backdrop for our culture, for our actions, for things that are going on in the world. They're always there, just sort of sitting in the background waiting. And when they do their stations for retrogrades or making alignments with other planets, that's when they sort of come into the foreground. So we will get sort of a Saturn dose of energy on Saturday, Saturn's Day, the 4th. So just make sure that you are getting all your ducks in a row. You know, Mercury will be out of retrograde, so you'll finally feel like you can like take a breath and reassess the situation in a more stable and mature way, because Saturn is about old age, it's about aging, it's about facing the inevitable, going towards our lives here on Earth, and what that means. So let's see. That is about it. Of course, I can tell you what all the moons are going to be doing this week. So of course we have the new moon on Monday, tomorrow in Gemini at 9 degrees Gemini. The moon goes into Cancer late Tuesday night, so the 31st at about 11:48 p.m. The moon will be in Cancer on June 1st, Wednesday, Thursday the 2nd, and then it moves into Leo on Friday the 3rd. So that'll be an interesting combination of Mercury stationing direct and the moon going into Leo, so switching into a fire sign. And that'll bring a little bit more energy to that day as well. So it should be a pretty, it'll be an interesting day on Friday the 3rd. So Saturday is when Saturn goes direct, stations retrograde. We also have some other stuff going on with the asteroids, which we don't really talk about in this forecast. But if you're interested in learning about the asteroids, then definitely set up a reading and I can look at the asteroids in your chart. And then next Sunday's the 5th. So I will be back and I will tell you what the astro weather is, or the astro forecast is for the first full week of June. And that will be it. So super excited. Thank you guys for coming today, and I will be back then. So, oh, and of course, if you'd like to join the New Moon Circle on Tuesday night to learn more about this Gemini new moon and how it's affecting you personally in your own chart, then definitely sign up for the New Moon Circle. So I will leave the link for that, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye.